Tonight, in a moment that will be remembered for decades, the Supreme Court has delivered a decision that will reshape American law for generations to come. The nation is watching as history unfolds before our eyes. In a rare and powerful 9-0 ruling, the justices have fundamentally redefined the Second Amendment in the landmark case of United States versus Thompson. Such unity among the justices is almost unheard of, underscoring the gravity of this decision. For decades, the right to bear arms has divided the nation, fueling passionate debates and protests. But today, the court found common ground, sending shockwaves through both sides of the gun rights debate. The new national standard for gun ownership aims to balance individual rights with public safety like never before, setting a precedent that will influence courts and lawmakers for years. This decision directly impacts what types of firearms can be owned, who is eligible to own them, and the responsibilities that come with gun ownership. It introduces new requirements for background checks, training, and safe storage. The ruling introduces the Community Safety and Personal Responsibility Standard, a major departure from past interpretations. This new framework emphasizes not just rights, but also the duties of every gun owner. It affirms both the right to own firearms for self-defense and the government's authority to enact robust regulations to protect the public. The decision clarifies that safety and freedom can coexist. This dual affirmation is what makes the decision so groundbreaking, as it bridges a gap that has long divided lawmakers, citizens, and communities. State and local laws will now be measured against this new federal standard, with some likely to be struck down and others strengthened. The ripple effects will be felt in every corner of the country. Political leaders are scrambling to respond to this new reality, drafting statements, proposing new legislation, and preparing for the legal battles ahead. For millions of Americans, this ruling changes how they view their rights and responsibilities. Families, gun owners, and advocates are all reassessing what this means for their daily lives. It forces a national conversation about living together safely and freely, challenging communities to find new ways to protect both liberty and life. Around the world, nations are watching as America redefines its relationship with firearms, with some seeing it as a model and others as a warning. Tonight, we break down what this historic decision means for you, your community, and the country's future. The conversation is just beginning, and its impact will be felt for generations. To grasp today's decision, we must revisit the origins of the Second Amendment. Ratified in 1791, its 27 words have sparked centuries of debate. Is it about militias or individual gun ownership? For much of U.S. history, courts saw it as tied to military service and collective defense. But, in the 20th century, a new view emerged: the right to own guns for personal self-defense. This shift reflected changes in society, urbanization, professional police, and evolving gun technology. Gun rights groups and legal scholars pushed the individual rights interpretation into the mainstream. This set the stage for the Supreme Court to weigh in, leading to the landmark cases of the 21st century. The meaning of the Second Amendment was about to change forever. The modern Second Amendment debate truly began in 2008 with the landmark Supreme Court case, District of Columbia versus Heller. This case marked a turning point in American legal history, as it brought the question of individual gun rights to the forefront of national attention. For the first time, the court affirmed that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to possess a firearm, specifically for self-defense within the home. This decision was a major victory for gun rights advocates and set a new precedent for how the Constitution would be interpreted. However, the Heller decision only applied to federal law, leaving a significant question unanswered: what about state and local gun regulations? The ruling did not automatically extend these rights to the states, creating uncertainty and debate across the country. That changed in 2010, when the Supreme Court decided McDonald versus City of Chicago. This case extended the individual right to bear arms to state and local governments, making the Second Amendment applicable nationwide. Yet the court was careful to clarify that this right is not unlimited. Reasonable regulations, such as restrictions on certain types of firearms or on gun ownership by felons, were still considered constitutional. In the years that followed, lower courts across the country struggled to define exactly which gun laws were constitutional. This led to a patchwork of conflicting rulings with different standards in different states and circuits. In 2022, the Supreme Court took up New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin. The court struck down a New York law restricting concealed carry permits and established a new test: gun laws must be consistent with the nation's historical tradition of firearm regulation. This new history and tradition test created widespread confusion and legal chaos, as courts and lawmakers struggled to interpret what counted as historical precedent. With so much uncertainty, the stage was set for United States versus Thompson. Courts and lawmakers across the nation looked to the Supreme Court for much-needed clarity on how to apply the Second Amendment. The Supreme Court's new decision now aims to resolve this uncertainty, providing guidance for future cases and legislation. The debate over gun rights and regulation had reached a breaking point, with passionate arguments on both sides and the nation watching closely. Today's ruling is the court's answer to years of legal turmoil, offering a new framework for understanding the Second Amendment. As the dust settles, a new era for the Second Amendment begins now, shaping the future of gun rights and regulations in America for generations to come. United States versus Thompson began in a quiet suburb, not a courtroom. David Thompson, a former military marksman, had several historical firearms seized by federal agents under the National Firearms Act. His lawyers argued the regulations were unconstitutional under the Bruin Standard, lacking historical precedent. Lower courts split on the issue, prompting the Supreme Court to step in. The central question: how should courts apply historical tests to modern weapons and regulations? During oral arguments, justices from both sides expressed frustration with the Bruin test's limitations. This bipartisan skepticism set the stage for today's unanimous decision. On November 27, 2025, the Supreme Court delivered a unanimous and historic ruling in United States versus Thompson, a case that has already begun reshaping the national conversation around gun rights and public safety. Chief Justice Roberts, writing for the court, decisively moved away from the rigid history and tradition test that had previously guided Second Amendment cases, signaling a major shift in judicial philosophy. He wrote, "The Second Amendment is not a static relic but a living principle." This powerful statement underscored the court's recognition that constitutional rights must adapt to the realities of modern society. The new community safety and personal responsibility standard introduced by the court has two key parts. It affirms the individual right to self-defense while also allowing for reasonable, content-neutral regulations designed to protect public safety and prevent harm. The right to bear arms, the court emphasized, is not absolute. It comes with a profound responsibility to exercise that right safely, lawfully, and with respect for the well-being of others in the community. Justice Jackson's concurrence highlighted the importance of returning the power to craft gun laws to the democratic process, empowering elected officials to respond to the needs of their constituents while still protecting core constitutional rights. Even the court's most conservative justices joined the decision, acknowledging the confusion and legal uncertainty caused by the previous Bruin test, which had led to inconsistent rulings across the country. Justice Thomas, often a staunch defender of gun rights, recognized the urgent need for a clear, workable framework that lower courts and lawmakers could reliably follow. This rare moment of unanimity among all 9 justices gives the decision undeniable authority and sends a strong message about the court's commitment to both constitutional rights and public safety. The ruling signals the beginning of a new era of stability and clarity in Second Amendment law, providing much-needed guidance for courts, lawmakers, and citizens alike. Lawmakers now have a clear constitutional path for enacting gun safety measures that respect individual rights while addressing the urgent need for community protection. The court's message is clear. Rights and responsibilities must always go hand in hand, and the balance between them is essential for a just society. With this decision, the legal landscape has fundamentally changed, opening the door to a new chapter in the ongoing debate over gun rights and public safety in America. The political shockwaves are immediate. The new standard gives both parties a constitutional playbook for gun laws. Democrats hail the decision as a victory for public safety, with President Harris urging swift legislative action. Expect a surge of bills, universal background checks, red flag laws, safe storage, now likely to withstand court challenges. Some Republicans, while wary, see the ruling as a chance to support moderate measures without abandoning the Second Amendment. The debate shifts from Washington to the states, where lawmakers will test the limits of the new standard. States like California may push for stronger laws. Texas may opt for modest changes. The Supreme Court hasn't mandated specific laws, but provided a test for judging them. The focus now, what counts as reasonable under the community safety standard. The next chapter of the gun debate will be written in state houses across America. The Supreme Court's decision is also shaking up the firearms industry. Gun manufacturer stocks fell as investors braced for new regulations and compliance costs. The ruling could lead to bans on certain accessories, mandatory safety features, and new technologies like micro-stamping. But there's opportunity too. Demand for gun safety products, smart guns, and training services is expected to surge. Retailers report a spike in sales as buyers rush to purchase before new laws take effect. In the long run, companies that innovate for safety and responsibility will thrive. The industry faces transformation, not extinction. The era of responsible gun ownership is now a business imperative. For millions, this decision changes what it means to be a responsible gun owner. The focus shifts from simply owning a gun to demonstrating safety and community responsibility. New requirements may include waiting periods, enhanced background checks, and mandatory safety courses. Safe storage laws could become standard, especially in homes with children. Rules for carrying firearms in public may become clearer and more consistent. The ruling lowers the temperature of the gun debate, creating a shared language for both sides. Legal challenges and passionate debate will continue, but the court's consensus provides a foundation for change. The decision invites Americans to see their rights as part of a social contract, balancing liberty with collective safety. The shift won't happen overnight, but the groundwork is laid. A new era of gun ownership and responsibility begins today. Where do we go from here? The Supreme Court hasn't ended the gun debate, it's redefined it. The community safety and personal responsibility standard challenges lawmakers and citizens alike. The key takeaway: consensus is possible, even on divisive issues. The court's framework now guides the work of building a safer, freer society. The responsibility shifts to you. Stay informed, engage with your representatives, and participate in the conversation. The future of the Second Amendment will be shaped by millions of Americans, not just 9 justices. Your voice matters more than ever. This story is still unfolding, and we'll be here to cover every step. How will this decision affect you? Join the conversation and share your thoughts. For now, thank you for watching.